what's out there. We just don't know what we're going to do with it. So we have to decide somewhere.
Are we talking just the plaque buildings or all of them?
I'm talking all of it. You have a historic district, you need to decide what's going to be protected and what you're going to do with everything in the historic district. I went over every building we have that would be considered in there. There's not a plan for any of them. We need one.
I agree that we need a plan. I think that if we go down this route, which I think is a good idea, I think the most important aspect of this is that things are reviewed before things are changed. That's the most important part of it. And we have experts here on the historical buildings that can be a help to us, and we can review with them as well before any major changes are made.
Just 1 second. And to add to that, yes, we have a lot of buildings. We have a lot of historical stuff that has laid fallow. But in the beginning, short term, we know that the pool and the par area are places that we should probably come up with a plan for. But that doesn't negate the fact that we need a process.
Oh,
go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I just have one question, and who would be the person to select the people on this committee? Who would be the people who would select the people on this committee? The board?
Yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Who are you going to do?
People can submit their names, and we can make a decision.
Russell is in the back.
Yes, I'd like permission to address the board, please.
Please.
Come on in, Russell.
Thank you for the time to hear me out on this. When all this first started, the problems that took place just happened to be in the historic district, so right away the Historical Society was notified about it. We were notified with several questions: what's going on, what can you do about it, so on and so forth. So I started taking the time to research and see where we're at, what kind of documents we had, what was in place on that, and what the historical value was. The first thing I looked into was the Historical Society itself. The Historical Society was established in 1979 by the association to maintain the integrity of the historic district. Absolutely zero policing powers, none, zero. They can only make recommendations. The next thing I looked at was preservation and restoration, established in 1998 by resolution by the association, and that was a joint venture between the Historical Society and the Fort Clark Springs Association. Their purpose was to restore the buildings in a historic manner and to maintain them, to keep them up. No policing policy whatsoever, zero, strictly work done. The next one I went and looked at was the Architects Committee. I started searching in the office for a resolution that established it. Come to find out, I had totally overlooked it. It's actually in the Declaration of Protected Covenants. Every one of the Declaration of Protected Covenants units, it seems to have a little bit different language of what the Architect Committee can do, which that astounded me. That absolutely blew me away, because it should have been the same, irregardless of what their CC&Rs was. Their responsibility should have been the same. Now, as a member of the association, if you're going to do anything to your property, you have to have a written process that goes to the Architect Committee, presented to them in plans, details, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, who's going to do it. Those plans are reviewed. If they agree with the CC&Rs, if they agree with the aesthetics of the neighborhood, they're okay. Now, if for some reason or another your plan that you're going to do encroaches over in the association property, you ask for a variance. The Architectural Committee has no value of policing authority over the variance. That has to go before the board, because the important reason is that's association property. That is every person in this room's property that we're talking about, not an individual's property, association property. Now, usually a variance is agreed upon because it's very small and very minor. I never was in big favor of variances myself, because Joe over here gets 10 or 15 feet, Ed over here gets 9 feet. Pretty soon there's 250 feet or so taken away from the property there, and the association is still paying taxes on those properties that's being used as private property. I think variances into encroachment in property is ridiculous. Now, the things that have been taking place here in the area we can just completely disregard historic. That has nothing to do with it. We're talking about association property now that is being destroyed, tore up, remodeled. I mean, we could use 100 different variations of what's happening to it. So there's where there is absolutely no control. The general manager, the maintenance manager, the golf course manager can do whatever they want to any of these properties, and the best thing you can do is give them a verbal reprimand. You have no documentation whatsoever to do anything. If you fire them for it, you're going to be sued because you have no documents to back you up. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It's in your benefit to do something about it.
Russell, how do we get to this point without the documentation?
You know, I think we just, you know, it's always been, Ms. O'Brien, it's always been, well, they'll do the right thing. Well, they're going to do the right thing. It's with just the luck of the draw. You know, I understand that some places we've got as far as we have with what we have. You know, it's pretty amazing. So, now, with that said, pretty soon you're all going to have to go into executive session. You've got quite a load on your shoulders to have to burden this to come up with a plan. There's three things that I would like to request of you, let me restate that. There's three things I'd like you to consider in executive session. Number one is, as soon as possible, adapt some type of resolution or document to put control over not necessarily or not entirely the historic district, but all association properties. No management, board member, anybody can do anything to association property unless there's a policy in place to do it. Now, number two is halt all work in the historic district and association property until such program is adapted. Let's see, I had number three. Number three, the big concern to us right now is 19 trees planted on the west side of the park on the parade ground up there. Those 19 trees are just absolutely worthless where they are. I would like you to seriously consider finding a better location for those. We've been driving around the fort. There's 100 different places where those trees can be of more value where they're at over there. So I'd like for you to consider those three items in your executive session.
Second one? It's the second one.
It's the second road. It's the one that's 56 feet. The roadway over there is 24 feet wide, and those trees are 56 feet over into the approach. Where on the other side over here on Fort Park Road, they're only 28 feet over. Measured them with my tape. I know, not speaking from looking out the car window.
Okay.
Now, when you go into executive session, you got a big load on your shoulders. This is a big decision you're going to have to make. You're going to have to make a decision between your voters out here, the people who voted for you, your loyalty to them, or your loyalty to an employee. So please, make a good decision. Thank you.
Russell, just real quick, it's a total of 19 trees
There's
that you think
19.
that you believe that are out of place.
In my opinion, my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for anybody else. In my opinion, there's 19 trees that's worthless in there where they're at. I mean, they're just, there's a lot of better other places they could be put, in my opinion.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hodges, and I have been a member in good standing off and on since 2004, and we've been back here since 2017. And we came back to this fort after being in where everyone wants to live is the Texas Hill Country. And we love this place so much that we came back here. And so know that there's a lot of passion in what I'm about to say because we love the people and we love this place. So my first question is to the board only, and I'd like for each one of you to answer it individually. Who made the decision to use heavy equipment and bulldoze the parade ground? Ms. Rice?
Mr. Peterson, that's his purview.
Mr. Peterson?
Mr. Peterson, sir.
Thank you. And this is a question to Mr. Peterson.